Hi everybody. So I wanted to bring you guys along because I'm going to view some more PinePhone Pro reviews, and the comedy was so great yesterday. I just had to include you all for today. So here we go.
Welcome to episode 172 of This Week in Linux, recorded live on October 16th, 2021. From the Destination Linux Network, I'm Michael Tennell. If you're new to the show, this is the podcast that will keep you up to date with what's going on in the Linux world, and I'll give you my take as a 20-year-plus Linux user. The Linux news cycle is just like any other, with ups and downs, and sometimes there are weeks when it's hard to find news, and some weeks, like this week, there's way more than I could possibly fit into the show. This week I had almost enough for 2 episodes. So let's get started with another jam-packed episode of your weekly
Say
source
hi,
for Linux.
everybody. Hi, Linux users. Jam-packed. Did he say jam-packed show?
This episode is sponsored by DigitalOcean and by Bitword.
Ooh, he's got sponsors.
Up first in the show, we have some awesome news from Pine64, and that is the PinePhone Pro has been announced. Also, you can check out the exclusive interview that we had on Destination Linux 248. You'll find a link in the show notes.
Yeah, I saw that.
Now let's talk about what the PinePhone Pro is and what kind of specs it has. So if you're not familiar, the PinePhone Pro is the Pro version of the original PinePhone. Now you can still get the PinePhone if you want to, so you want to have a cheaper cost, like you can get that version rather than getting the new PinePhone Pro that will be coming out fairly soon. Now the
I want to sell mine. Any takers?
Developers. But if you are not a developer, you would probably want to wait later on for the Explorer edition, which is kind of like the Braveheart edition of the original PinePhone, where it's for enthusiasts and that sort of thing. And if you want to wait a little bit longer, that is also an option for, after all the enthusiasts have tested it and that kind of thing. But I am super excited about this for many reasons. The PinePhone Pro has been something
I can't wait to hear of his many reasons.
I've been looking forward to ever since they announced the first one in general. But they've also talked about a lot of cool tech that is going into this phone. So this is a $400 or $399 phone that has a ROC chip RK3399, which is a modified version of that chip. And this is the same chip that's in the PineBook Pro, which is really cool that they've got that into the phone.
I don't understand why that's so cool.
That it is
Big
modified,
deal.
So it's made to be.
They will probably have the same
voltage locked and
capacitors
that
too.
kind
Does
of
that
thing.
make
So
it
it's not
special?
the same output that the PineBook Pro version does. It has an ARM Mali T860 4-core GPU. It has 4 gigs of LPDDR4 RAM, which is another gig higher than the
Okay,
previous
I'm going to pause you guys till it gets past. I'm tired of hearing the specs.
They also got an upgraded camera, which is a 13 megapixel Sony IMX258 main camera, which also uses Gorilla Glass 4. And they have the old PinePhone, or the original PinePhone, the 5 megapixel OmniVision camera that is in that phone is now the front-facing camera of this new PinePhone Pro, which is pretty awesome. Now it has all the stuff that you would expect from the original PinePhone in this new version, like the pogo pins, which is compatible with the original PinePhone. They also have a micro SD slot and the privacy hardware switches for the camera, the microphone, the Wi-Fi, the GPS,
This
the
isn't a
LTE,
commercial.
all that sort of stuff, which is just fantastic. And we have an article on frontpagelinux.com that gives you more details about all the different specs and different configurations and things that you can check out in the show notes. But also I want you to check out the Destination Linux interview we had with Wukash from Pine64 to talk about this latest and greatest version of the PinePhone, because I can't wait. We're going to have to wait a little bit because I'm not a developer, but still I'm looking forward to this so much. And if you are interested in checking out more information about the PinePhone Pro, you can check out the links.
Okay, so he's not a developer. That's interesting. So he's going to have to wait. But what about the original PinePhone? Aren't we still waiting for that one? When he says it still exists, but I highly doubt that anyone's going to do anything with it, and it's going to be a doorstop any time now. So he said a while ago he had multiple reasons he was going to tell us for why he likes the new PinePhone. I'm still waiting to hear them. Let's keep listening.
In the show notes. Up next in the show, let's talk about the latest release of Ubuntu with 21.
Apparently we're not going to talk about
There's
it.
a lot of stuff to talk.
Let me just see if you got it somewhere in the show here. Well, no, apparently he says he has reasons, but he doesn't want to divulge them in this particular program. Okay, let's go on to our next comedy routine. Oh, okay, I think I found a good one. I got the guy with a fabulous accent. It says here, Pine Book and Pinephone, why I love them. I can't wait to find that out. And this is from before Pro came out.
The first Pine 64 device I had was PineBook. I was in a Flixbus going back from Flores to Genoa, and I had just met a friend who gifted me that PineBook as a birthday gift. And I remember that I was in this
Friends don't give friends Pine 64 products, that's for sure.
small Flixbus seat with this small PineBook computer, and I opened it, and my first thought was, whoa, that screen is really good. It was a full HD LED display, which is, well, not that good if you compare it to my usual computer, but for a $99
It's not that
device,
good.
it was the
Did I hear that
model.
right?
That was really
Let's
impressive.
back that up.
And then I started $1 device, it was the base model, that was really impressive. And then I started typing the password, which is, well, not that good if I opened it, and my first
Let's
thought
listen
was,
carefully.
whoa, that screen is really good.
That screen is
It
really
was
good.
a full HD LED display, which is, well, not that good if you compare it to my usual computer.
Not that
but
good, but
for
so-
a
so-
$99
so-
it is also pretty.
So is it good or isn't it? Well, what are you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. Whoa, the screen is good, but not as good as your regular computer. Probably a Windows machine, I suspect. What the hell's he talking about? What's the matter with these people?
The password, of course. My friend.
I think
the
they smoke
password
too
as
much
a
dope,
riddle, so I
or
had to
eat too
guess
many
it.
dope cookies, or whatever
Pretty
young
hard
people
to
do
guess
these
it.
days.
And the second thought was,
Maybe
it's
maybe
really
it's
good.
methamphetamines.
It's really good. I kind of expected some plasticky, very small, as it's 11 inches keyboard, but I could actually type pretty fast. I just tested it yesterday after 1 year of not using it, and I was able
He didn't
to
use
type
it for a year.
91 words per minute.
That must have been a really
By the way,
great laptop.
It's a very good keyboard for the price. And as you can see, the board selection is also pretty good for being, 2020. So of course I decided to keep it and start using it as my main
Well, you
device
have it
to
for a year. I
do
guess you've
education.
already decided
The
you're
second
keeping
thing
it.
that surprised me while I was using it on the beach looking at the sea was that I was using it for quite a while and the battery was still 90%. And that's really good. My computer was much worse than that. So I started using it as a computer to bring around when I need a good screen, a good keyboard, and
This guy's in love with this thing. I can tell. It's a romance novel that we're watching right now. He's just infatuated with this Pine book.
a good battery life, but not great performance. Although I gotta say, I wasn't disappointed by the chip either. It had 2 GB of RAM, with which
This is
many
getting
people
painful. I'm going to
criticize,
skip ahead.
but I actually think the Python scripts, you could also the audio. Actually,
I'm looking for the
Me.
phone.
until I didn't, because after all, my
Here we
main
go.
computer was
Here we
just
go.
a bit heavier and, of course, much better, much more expensive. And then I started using the pinephone. I got one delivered to me as a KDE developer. I also did a video on this channel when it arrived. And of course, that was going to be a much harder task, falling in love with the pinephone as much as the pinephone.
Yeah, 'cause it doesn't
because
work.
The software wasn't quite there yet.
It's
Whereas
still
the
not
pinephone
quite there yet.
benefited from all of the desktop experience that KDE has. On the phone side, the things were a bit sketchier. However, you gotta consider just how impressive the fact that the pinephone exists is. Back when it was announced, not released but actually announced, even in the rumors, like Pine64 said, we might do something like that. The only real alternative were Android phone with Linux and the Librem, which was announced years before and it kept being delayed and it was going to be super expensive. So it was really impressive that Pine64 managed to get a phone in such a short time frame. It really beat the Librem, I think.
The problem is that that's not the truth. The phone doesn't work, so it's just a mini desktop computer not a phone. They didn't deliver a phone. Still haven't delivered a phone.
And it was really cheap. So I think that even though the software was a bit lacking, the hardware was really impressing to.
Now that's interesting. This is August 24th, 2021. So this guy's saying the hardware is okay. Well, if you review the videos of mine for the last few days, we reviewed a bunch of guys who said the hardware sucked. You see what's going on here is that everybody's going, this guy says the hardware sucks, this guy says the software sucks, this guy says the hardware sucks, this guy says the hardware is great, this guy says the software is great. Like, they're all so full of shit. Really, they're all full of shit. Let's continue, shall we?
Didn't exist in the first place. Now I got it back from the bookshelf, and of course it broke the software, luckily, so I have to reinstall everything. But when I will do that,
happened to me too.
Really
after I flashed Manjaro, or not flashed it, after I updated it, it broke.
I was really impressed, like honestly impressed out of the box for the first one, and by the second one after a week or two of using it. And that could be it, except it isn't, because Pine64 just decided to release the PineNote. Now, of course, they also release other stuff that I didn't mention, like PineDio, the PineTime, the PineBook Pro, but those things interested me a bit less, and I don't have them. The PineNote is really impressive because it's for the first time a device that's competitive in price as well with the other products, and that's really unique in the Linux panorama. I really cannot think of another Linux e-ink e-reader, and even if it
I swear this is scripted and the manufacturers paid him to say all this.
The right software for it.
Unbelievable.
And
let's skip ahead.
If the
We're trying to find out why you love them. Oh, good location. Waiting for whatever. Let's hope it's not 12 o'clock.
of a device Android phones with Linux.
Okay, this must be some kind of blooper reel at the end, so I'm going to stop it. Oh, okay, so there's 13 minutes full of crap. Well, I'm disappointed. I'm trying to find some more Linux comedy, but apparently they're not making any more videos because they're afraid I'm going to review them. But I'm going to look harder. Stand by. Okay, couldn't find anything on the Pro, so I've chosen an old video from the pinephone from March 18th of this year, which is one of the ones that got me to buy the phone. It was this guy from Short Circuit, very unhealthy looking guy. You know, and the title is "This $200 phone can do anything with 3 exclamation marks." Pine64 pinephone. Well, we know what the truth is there, don't we? Well, let's listen to what he has to say.
The other operating system has a browser that's capable of actually running that. And closing an app is just like that.
And
cool. Ubuntu
started at the beginning.
trash. I mean, I'm not saying that it was trash. You guys were saying that it's trash. Obviously, it wasn't quite finished yet, and there was a whole bunch of other issues. And you're like, why haven't you taken a look at the Pine 64, the pinephone, you know, this thing here? And I'm like,
apparently he thinks it's trash.
because we are. Like, this has been on our radar since it was announced. This thing has taken a long time to get to a like workable state.
It
And
still
what
isn't
we have
there.
Here is the community edition. I haven't actually like looked at this at all yet, so here we go. The box itself is pretty plain. This is Pine 64 Mobian edition. On the side here, package contents: user manual, quick start guide, pinephone, USB-C power cable, and USB-C dock. Really interesting. Okay, nothing terribly interesting on the back, although it does say that it has a 2,800 milliamp hour battery. It's pretty small. Doesn't want to. Like everything else in Linux, you do it yourself, right? All right. Tiny little user manual. Anything in there? Before using this device, please read this manual carefully. Oh, back case removal. Right. So this thing has a removable battery and stuff too. What's this? The operating system build you're receiving is more than a month old. So following the initial setup of the device, you should update to the latest available release. So what's in the box? We got the phone itself, which again is not coming out. Oh, okay, a micro SIM, a nano SIM to micro SIM adapter. We've got a nice red USB-C to A cable and a USB-C dock. Ooh, that's actually really nice. It's solid. It's got an aluminum shell. It's got Ethernet, probably gigabit, HDMI, and 2 USB Type A ports on here. And yeah, that's everything. But yeah, it's really nice. Oh, and it has a little power input here as well. So neat. I wasn't expecting to have something like this in the box. If you remember the Librem phone, part of the problem was that not everything was fully touch capable at the time. So a dock like this helps significantly with things that may or may not be.
What kind of an idiot would release a phone when it's not touchable yet? It's a smartphone. You use the screen. It's got to be touchable to work properly. Maybe stroke Librem off your list of phones to get.
Fully compatible yet. Also, I mean, this is just running Linux. This will get you a Linux desktop, like an actual Linux desktop.
There we go. Desktop again.
So it's actually cool.
Make some calls.
And here is the phone itself. It is significantly less chunky than the Librem. In fact, it is. Well, it's not quite iPhone slimness, but it's like decent slimness. I don't see any hardware disconnects or anything like that on it, but it does have a camera. And I'm going to test to make sure that that works. Do we have a SIM card? People asked us to like make sure that like calling actually worked on the.
Yes.
Should we make
Yes.
a call on this phone?
Do it.
Did that have a SIM jack tool in it? I thought it did have a SIM jack tool in it. Went to all the trouble to get a SIM eject tool, but then I realized the back of this thing comes off, so it probably doesn't even need one. You can see that, make it out. There's a little divot in here you get your thumb into. You just pull it right off. Just like that. How does this work? Okay, so the battery obviously just comes out. I think. Okay, either this is like glued in place or something, or I'm just stupid. Remove the battery using your
I vote
or
two.
prying tool. Well, I've been trying to do that. Oh, that is not pleasant. Okay, why was that so difficult? Clearly, this phone has not been set up yet, so we're going to go through the whole experience. Usually, phones are set up prior to hitting the short circuit set. Now that I look at it a little closer, there's a bunch of things here. Like there's an SD card slot and a micro SD card slot here. This module looks totally removable. This reset switch, I'm not sure what that does. And these dip switches, what do these do? Well, these are like those hardware switches that were on the Librem phone. So instead of having them on the outside, you need to pull the back off to get to them. But they'll actually physically disable the webcam, well not the webcam, the actual camera, the modem, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, micro. It's
Wow.
easy, but you get more of them. So, pop the battery in for the first time. Oh, this might need to be charged. back on. And I'm noticing they even have this little pre-applied screen protector, so I'm just going to go ahead and peel that right off. You ready to power it on?
Yeah.
But first I'm going to talk to you about Unbounce. Unbounce is the landing page platform that helps 20% off your first 3 months of Unbounce today. Oh right, I was going to install a SIM card. Guess we're going back in.
Taking the battery out.
There's no way to take nano SIM. Everything should be using nano SIM. There's no reason to use SIM or micro SIM. This adapter is not very fun to use. There, that's probably in. It's got a nice little power LED. Oh, look, you can see me in the reflection. You are about to install Mobian Bullseye. User interface Bosch. Okay, partitioning, formatting, blah blah blah. Running mount operation. Installation failed. No partitions are defined for mount. Wow, this is going to be a short one. Oh wow, it just like
Failed.
straight up dumped me out to a terminal. Yeah, I got nothing. There's no keyboard. There's no. Actually, I have this Type C dock. Hey Jono, can I get you to like get me a
Okay.
keyboard?
That's it for today, guys. I really can't take this anymore. Crappy Linux
Okay.
products.